Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the pre-game game show, I suppose you could call it, where I take you through my plans of how I'm going to be running tonight's adventure, The Ghosts of Saltmarsh. My name is Guy and I'm from the YouTube channel How to Be a Great GM. Now, we're on episode 3 of The Ghosts of Saltmarsh, and I've had a plan that I was trying to stick to in terms of this entire campaign. If you haven't caught one of these before, be aware, spoilers are contained herein. I am showing you my process, my thinking behind how I prep for this game. Obviously, I have done all of the prep beforehand. I baked it in the oven for 40 minutes on 240, but I will show you the end product so you don't have to wait for it for so long. Anyway, right, let's get on with it. Our plan was, I'm just going to bring this up quickly. I'm going to move myself over here very quickly. This was the plan. This is a master plot adventure outline, which you can get from my website, free. It's called, the website's www.greatgamemaster.com. And this is the outline that we had generated for the Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Now, it's 12 episodes that we're going to be running through. So there are 12 adventures that have been outlined here and roughly how long each one of them is going to take. The challenge, of course, is that players got hold of this and, well, are we anywhere near where we should be? Episode 1 was supposed to be where they were involved in a sea battle, they met some aquatic races, they met the Sahagin, however you want to pronounce it, and then they learned about Lich and Saltmarsh itself. Then they were supposed to go into the sinister secrets of Saltmarsh, which is the first scripted adventure in the book, The Ghosts of Saltmarsh, as released by Dungeons & Dragons. They haven't got there yet, and we're now into episode 3. So if you look at my plan, episode 2 and 3, or adventure session 2 and 3, were supposed to be them going through the sinister secrets of Saltmarsh adventure, which quite easily could take 2, 3, or 4 sessions. We haven't got there yet. We then go from there. They're supposed to learn all about more secrets of Saltmarsh, establish that the Sahagin are involved, the Black Tide, all that kind of stuff. And then they're supposed to go into the Lizard Alliance. Now, as it stands, we are on session 3, and we haven't yet got to the sinister secrets of Saltmarsh. So what are we going to be doing? Am I panicking? Am I worried? Am I nervous that this is the situation? No, I'm not, and there's a very good reason for it. Well, we have this template that we can work through and shuffle around as we need to. So if I look at it, session 1 played out as predicted. Session 2, the guys had created such complex backstories that were so involved in the little town of Saltmarsh. When I read them and I went, oh, great, this is lovely. You've got a link here, you've got a link here. These were links that were made by the players. I gave them the beginning part of the book, Ghosts of Saltmarsh, which contains a little bit of information about the town of Saltmarsh, plus new backstories for the characters when they're being created by the players. The players went off and they created their characters and they included a lot of the backstories from the actual adventure, which was great. And it looked as if it was going to be perfect. When I read it, I was like, okay, that's an interesting backstory, interesting backstory, interesting backstory. Those are cool. I can work them in a little bit later on. As planned, you'll see under the building stuff, that's where we were supposed to talk about sort of character backstory, PC background. It's listed there. 2 whole sessions were supposed to be dedicated for character background. What I did not anticipate was that when they arrived in Saltmarsh, the party immediately split up in different directions. Parties are going to do that. When they split up, it's more fun for you as the game master, I always say, so I enjoyed their split up. It wasn't a problem. What was a problem, or at least wasn't a problem, I should say, but what was a deviance from the expectation, was that they then spent a lot of time at their character backstory stuff. And we're going to do more of that in today's session. It's simply going to happen. The reason is I'm not going to railroad them to going on to the sinister secrets of Saltmarsh adventure. That's entirely their purview. They are the players. This is their game. I am going to let them explore the options of their backstories. Now, I was thinking about this the other day and I was going, well, is this a complete derailment of my plans? No, it isn't. All I need to do is move the stuff that's listed under building stuff on section 3 and 4. If I move that up to getting stuff, and swap Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh with them, I'm still on track. My main storyline, this undead admiral, or commodore now actually, who is going to be attacking Saltmarsh, all of that still stays absolutely the same. I don't have to worry about changing a thing. So at the moment, the master plot adventure is allowing me to see, aha, this is where I am. I do need to end off today's session. I need to tie together all of those backstories and move the characters forward. So how am I going to do that? How am I going to make sure, hopefully, that at the end of the 2-hour block that I have, that the characters are ready to move forward? Well, what I need to do is I need to enable them. Now, it is very obvious that I have 5 players who really enjoy exploring their backstories. They enjoy exploring their character far more so than, oh, there's an adventure, let's go and do the adventure, let's go and do the adventure. So instead of them being objective orientated, they are personally orientated. This is absolutely wonderful. Simply because we are now able to say, right, if they are objective oriented, as long as I am not objective oriented, if they're personal oriented, as long as I am making the stories about their characters personally, they will then follow through on that. They will then be drawn along that. If I give them, here is an adventure hook, go and follow it, they're not going to do it because their priorities are on their character and on their personal characters, which is absolutely fine. It makes my life that much more interesting and that much more joyous. So let's have a little bit of an unpack. So last week we had the characters that arrived in Saltmarsh. We had the captain, Jagsy, and Lahuna, the first mate, going to go and start exploring Victor Salt's background. Now, the background that had been given to me by Jenny, the player, was that Victor Salt had gone through an emotional experience which Lahuna had helped and nursed him through, and so he decided to give up his life of crime working for Gellan Primewater. The player had written something along those lines that they had left and that they had gone sailing off in different directions. As the game master, as the dungeon master, I took it that the character had left under difficult circumstances. No one leaves a crime boss's employ. Well, that's the end of the sentence. No one leaves a crime boss's employ. You generally get given stone shoes and dropped off a very short pier. You don't leave, especially Gellan Primewater, who's been established within the book, Ghosts of Saltmarsh, as being a smuggler, a slave trader, just generally a rather scummy individual who profits off of others. They're not going to let one of their henchmen just walk away, especially not with secrets as to their operations, how they work, all those kinds of things. So I built it up that Gellan had taken over the debt that the captain had asked for. I had agreed with the player beforehand that it was going to be an 8,000 gold debt, but because I realized that players are more interested in personal, I went, okay, 8,000 gold, it's a lot of money, but it's not enough. I want it more. I want it double to 16,000 gold. That's where I want it to be, or 18,000 gold as a matter of fact. I want it to be something that is impossible for the player characters to pay off. It has to be personal. Why am I doing this? Because I'm going to use, as you're going to hopefully see in the next episode, I'm going to use Gellan as my personal leveraging tool to get Jenny and her character to start going on the adventures that are planned. Now, that's one side. Lahuna and Jagsy, we didn't start to see their character backgrounds because they were busy with Victor Salt. I suspect that they're going to try and express those in today's session. They didn't have a problem with last week where basically they were acting as foils to the captain, they were acting as support to the captain, which is absolutely fine. This week, however, I suspect they're going to try and express that because they also both have backstories based in Saltmarsh. We then had Myri's character, Indigo. She went off and she followed my little piece of plot hook where I was like, and here you go, here is the plot hook, take it or leave it. She took it, she went into the forest, she met the druid, and that was that. It was great stuff. She started to find the path. What she does with it, I'm not sure. Now, I specifically had the statue of the Commodore being erected and put up into town. It's been there for a while, but the little curtain was going to be a big reveal for the arrival of this first-rate ship in the harbour. That statue is now giving off this black smoke. That was not planned by me in any shape or form before the session started. As a matter of fact, it wasn't even planned during the session. It was only once Myri's character looked through that looking glass that I realized I needed to start seeding more things for the players to follow, for the players to follow. So this smoking stuff coming off of the statue was an invent to basically say, well, the smoke's coming off of this one. It's coming off the one that's also in the garden, in the haunted mansion, which is the basis for the Sinister Secrets of Saltmarsh adventure. And it's coming off of the black tide in the ocean itself. So when you combine the three together, it gives you a pretty big clue towards the mission and towards the mansion. She might follow up on that, but what is she going to be doing in this session? That I'm not sure. Is she going to go and try and find the captain? Is she going to hook up with one of the other characters? Who knows? Now, the rogue element is Flick, the little seabold that runs around and causes chaos wherever he goes. In both sessions now, we've ended off with him in a cliffhanger moment where he has done things which seem to make sense at the time, but unfortunately the dice rolls are not with him, or he just tweaks and prods and pokes in the wrong direction. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's absolutely fine. It gives our story a complete element of chaos and random fun, which is great. What are we going to do with him? He was arrested in the last episode. I have a few things up my sleeve. The characters, Salt, Jagsy, Lahuna, they don't know where Flick went, so they're not likely to know that he's been arrested. I could have Myri's character, Indigo, see the little kobold being arrested and being taken into the magistrate's court. Now, this could give Myri something to do. I don't want to derail her, so I'm going to see how she handles the beginning of the session to kind of gauge where her focus is. Is she trying to reconnect with her crewmates? Is she heading back to the ship, which I don't want to happen. The ship is now off scene. It's happening in the background. It's being repaired. They're working through it. They're doing their thing. I don't want them to go back to the ship because otherwise they're going to get bogged down on ship repair stuff, and that's not particularly interesting. That doesn't drive my story forward at all. As far as I'm concerned, the moment they're ready to leave, their ship will be at 80% readiness and they can go off. So that's the plan. That's the plan. For how do we move forward? Now, I have been seeding a lot of stuff. I've got my notes down here in front of me, and some people say, oh, how do you manage your notes? Do you write down things while the characters are talking? Do you do this? Do you keep track of it on your keyboard? On however. I have written notes that I keep in front of me, very small little written notes, and I then transfer those into the relevant pages on World Anvil, which is where I'm keeping track of everything, and sort of file away bits and bobs. The first-rate ship of the line was an invention that I put in. It was not part of the plan. So if I look at the master plot adventure outline, if I go back there, at no point does this mention anywhere the first-rate ship of the line, Admiral Tarquin, Lieutenant Tarquin. It doesn't mention any of those characters. When you look at the adventure outlines, none of that is mentioned in here either. I included that in the first session simply to make that battle dramatic. If the Dwarves ship is being destroyed by this Kraken, if the humans' first-rate ship, these are big ships which I have created for the campaign, if that's running away from it, this was really designed just to impress upon the players just how magnificently large and powerful this Kraken is. However, things started to take their own direction, and this is what I love about being a GM. I needed something to introduce the concept to the players about this whole Admiral thing. I did not expect Flick to climb on board the Admiral's ship, so that's why I had his son drop onto the deck on that Pegasus Daphne. That then escalated and turned into a romance. I don't know where that came from, but I needed him to have a connection with somebody, so he connected with one of the PCs who didn't really connect back. But, ironically, that started to form a stronger bond because, oh, she's rejected me. That means she's interested. It's that kind of weird psyche that happened. Then Flick went onto the Admiral's ship, and so the Admiral then, because of the Lieutenant falling onto the deck, the Admiral then had a link and allowed Flick to get out of it by saying, well, if you go back to your ship and fetch everybody, I'll be absolutely grateful. Okay, great, so that's then happened. They then got paid for that quite handsomely, as a matter of fact, because the characters needed gold. Their first level only had like 16 gold between them after all of the character builds and stuff, so they've now got a bunch of cash to play and throw around. I needed to make sure that they had some liquidity on shore so that their first focus wasn't, okay, how do we raise money? Because again, that wasn't part of the plan of action. We then turn our final focus, our final attention to what is going to happen with Flick. Flick was caught loitering in front of the statue. He was suspicious. He was weird. Unfortunately, he had a dalliance with Anders Solmore, who is very influential in the town. And as a result of that, Anders Solmore, or at least Gellan, who is his bodyguard / evil, sinister, true evil behind the whole thing type of thing, as written in the book anyway. I'm not sure if I'm going to play with him in that way just yet. We've got Anders who's going to be putting pressure to have this little Seabold executed, simply because he doesn't like him. I do have a wild card insofar as the Admiral has now got his son back and may or may not arrive in the nick of time to save the Seabold from execution. Maybe. I don't want to necessarily play that card if the characters, if the other players, have not done anything to save the Seabold. Why I don't want to do that? For a very, very simple reason. Is because what it does is it takes agency away from the players. It really does. It's a GM caveat coming in, so I don't want to do that. I would rather have the players try and do something to get the kobold back and then effectively have him coming in once they have failed to do so. That's my ultimate goal. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. We will have to see. So those are the plans that I have for this particular session. By the end of it, I want them to have moved forward. We need to be moving towards that mansion. We need to get them there. So how am I going to do that? There are a few things that are going to happen. The characters are going to get given moral dilemmas. They are going to get given these things. Myri is my lead at the moment into the mansion of Saltmarsh, but I have started to plant other seeds around as well. With Flick, for example, so I'm hoping when they get back together again, and I will get them back together again, they're going to bump into each other on the streets and whatnot. When they get back together again, hopefully they're going to say, okay, well, we need to go and have a look and see what this whole thing is. We need to understand that. The curious thing that I had, and this is simply because the show is sponsored by our wonderful sponsors, Dungeon Fog, who are making the maps, dungeonfog.com. The owner of Dungeon Fog, Till, is busy drawing all of the maps for me. He said, oh, he'd love to draw the maps for me. And I said, okay, well, that takes a lot of pressure away from me because there's so much going on. So he said to me, okay, what maps do I make this week? And I went, well, since we had made the map for the Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh a month ago, because we had thought that that's where they were going to be by now, where could the party go this week? They could potentially go to the magistrate's office, the town hall. They could potentially go to Gellan Primewater's mansion. There is a vague chance that they actually end up at the haunted mansion itself. They could end up on the first rate ship of Admiral Tarquin. So those are the 4 maps that I need in detail because I'm not sure where they're going to go. Now, under normal circumstances, if we were playing around a table, I wouldn't have any of this kind of pressure to try and design all of these maps for this particular session. I would simply be able to freehand draw them as the party was exploring, and then maybe later on go back to Dungeon Fog and translate them into nice looking imagery that we would then project onto the table and how we would use it. But because this is a live show, and I want to show the maps to you guys, we needed to figure out. So we kind of brainstormed, we said, okay, those are the 4 areas we think they could go. There are some other areas that they might go to. They might go to a tavern, they might go here, they might go there. But those don't necessarily require maps. It's the important locations where there's a potential for conflict that we need to have those maps prepped and ready. So that's what we did there, was we tried to figure out how to make these maps and to give us as broad a spectrum as possible. If they don't go to any of those, however, it is not a loss. You will never ever struggle to use a town hall map in your next game, or in the next session for that matter, or in 20 sessions time from that matter. You've now got it. So from our perspective, it's a case of, well, we're just building up resources. We're building up resources, and we're going to get there eventually. We will use them one day. At least that's the theory. Now, one of the things that I had wanted to do, and I realize that it's on the wrong screen, it's actually on a screen over there, is, are there any questions that you guys have? We've still got about 9 minutes left. If we look at this outline, we are still kind of on track. Yes, we have to shuffle it around, and I'll do that later on because it's a tedious task in this particular instance, because yes, I saved over the original file, so I have... this was made pretty for you guys, so I've got to go and move this around a little bit later on to readjust the plan. At the moment, though, we're still on track. If this session ends and they're still dithering around with their own backstories, we haven't started yet moving forward on the adventure, we are going to have to rework this and rewrite this. At the moment, the final plan has still not changed. The major conflict has still not changed. None of that has changed. I do want to introduce, however, a slight sense of urgency, so I am going to be doing that this week. So are there any questions? I'm just busy looking at the chat now. Question, this is a question, how will... Okay, so here's a question. How will a player wipe be handled? If the party dies, how will I handle that? It's a great question. There is a serious risk that Flick could die. I'm going to be honest with you here. He's got very little hit points and a lot of ego and courage to go wandering around. Again, I don't have a problem with that. If the entire party dies, well... I would have to look at my contract in terms of what happens. No, we would carry on playing. I would either introduce a new character. We have had in the competition where you enter an NPC and then you enter into the treasure hunt to find all of the prizes that are going to happen at the end of the show, at the end of the season, I should say. We've got 250 names that have been given to us already. And when you look at that, you go, okay, 250 names. Any one of the players could pick up as an NPC named, I don't know, Adrian Brightshield, for example. Although he's already been established on the ship, that's absolutely fine. So if an individual wipes, they can rejoin the crew and they can come back in again without a problem. I'm not going to resurrect them and that sort of stuff. They don't have access to that just yet. If the entire party wipes out, then I believe I, as the GM, have failed. I will do everything in my power to prevent that from happening, simply because I don't like the notion of them dying. What it does is it takes away, it's like, well, so much for my story. I don't mind. I have done some plotting. It took 20 minutes to write up the adventure plots to come up with the bigger plan, so that's not a problem. But the players, each one of them has invested serious time in creating their backstories and creating their character. So to have that all erased because of a few dice rolls or bad choices, I feel, especially so early on in the game, I feel that would be a waste of everyone's time. So it's not that I'm going to protect them, but as I seed a whole lot of stuff, there is always the possibility that someone comes to their rescue at just the right moment. And there's so many interesting characters within Saltmarsh that it wouldn't be difficult to do at all. Any other questions? Let's see. So, where are we? Sorry. How much of what we have seen so far is you improvising and how much in the book? Okay, so it's a good question. How much have I improvised versus what is written in the book itself? So Ghosts of Saltmarsh as an adventure book, how much of that is being used in my stuff? Well, to be perfectly honest with you, so far what has been used is the Azure Sea, the location, the Azure Sea, and the city of Saltmarsh. The city itself, and I actually need to bring that up, so I'm going to close this really quickly. The city itself is part of the Saltmarsh setting, and sorry, I'm just trying to remember where I put it. The city itself is part of the Saltmarsh setting. The characters, the NPCs that the party is meeting, most of those are from the Saltmarsh book as well. Gellan Primewater, Anders Solmore. The book has got some beautiful politics going on within it. Not to give too much away, but there's 3 factions that are vying for control of Saltmarsh. And you're going to see a lot more of that expressed in today's show. In terms of the adventures, well, Sinister Secrets is the first one in the book, and it's the one that we're trying to get to, but haven't got there yet, simply because the characters are busy exploring their backstories. Now, the character backstories, I can tell you, hopefully there will be links shared by the moderators. I know our one moderator is not here, but the characters have all taken backstories that were written in the adventure book Ghosts of Saltmarsh. So they've kind of pulled from that. There's shipwright, marine, all those kinds of very interesting backstories have been added, and that gave them links to people within the city of Saltmarsh itself. So I don't know if that answers your question, but yes, we are getting there, I think is the important thing. Now, I see there's some stuttering happening on the stream. I don't know if it's affecting the audio. I hope not. Any other questions? We've still got 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Next question. Which fancy coat are you going to wear today? Which fancy coat am I going to wear today? I wish that the show hadn't happened in the middle of the Japanese summer starting, because it's so hot in the studio. No, the coat that will be worn today will probably be the black coat, simply because it's the first one that I saw on the rack. I've got all the different coats and things hanging up. So yes, that's the case. If you want, let's just switch over to the map. This is the map. I've recreated the map of Saltmarsh. The map does exist in the book. They give you all the maps that you could possibly hope for. This is the map that I've recreated in World. Well, it was created with Project Deos, but the map itself is in World Anvil, which allowed me to pin all of these different locations. So as the characters move around the map, I can just sort of hover over a pin and say, oh, okay, this is the Anvil. It's been renamed. I changed some of the characters. These are the people who are involved. So I can kind of just move around the city as the characters do to discover what's going on and the like. So yeah, that's pretty much, I suppose, it in terms of the plan. Again, 2 minutes. Any other questions that have come through? Have I designed a mug for the thirsty people? I don't, but today's beverage of choice is apple juice. Ooh, look at that effect. That's a weird effect. It's kind of greenish, I suppose. Anyway, I'll be drinking that throughout the show, as well as the trusted coffee, because you can never go wrong with coffee, in my opinion. Any other questions? No, I think we're okay. All right, in which case then I hope that these are useful for you to watch, or at least to get a little bit of insight. I don't show you everything, because I do want you to sit back and go, wow, okay, well, he was talking about that, he did that, and then he did that even more. So, yeah, it's always interesting to try and unpack your plan, and then to try and stick to it as well. Now, why would this be of value to you to do in your own show? Or in your own game, anyway? To kind of almost do a planning session out loud. Well, I talk to myself, it just happens, and I kind of sit there in the shower and or whatever, and I'm going, okay, well, if this happens, then that happens. I spend a lot of time wandering around Tokyo talking in the various voices. So it's like, well, if they meet this character, this is how this character is going to talk. And then I talk a little bit in that character. I'm completely mad now that I think about it. But I talk about that character and I go, well, this is what the character sounds like. This is what the situation is. And then I play out the voice. So anyway, that's how I do it. Enough from me. Let's get on with the game.
We fought them in the air, on land, and under the waves. But it wasn't enough. Brave folk banded together, united in hope and allied in goal. But it wasn't enough. The black tide brought with it an evil of terrible power. Darkness sank into the hearts of us all. For we knew, as above in the skies we lost, so on land we'd lose. And our only hope was below. But it wasn't enough. Forces unknown to us were at work, and in those dark days it found purchase wherever it touched. For our best wasn't enough. And yet, a single light burns in the dark night, and it might be enough.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Ghost of Saltmarsh Call of the Kraken. I didn't put my jacket on, so it's fine. I don't need a jacket to GM. Just imagine me wearing a jacket. You're all players. You should know how to do that.
You can go get your jacket. No one's going to hold it against you if you went and got your jacket.
No, I'm not going to put a jacket. I'm not going to put a jacket. I'm just not going to put a jacket. Right.
We should ask the moderators to tell us if people have requested him to get his jacket, right? So
no, they haven't. I'm ignoring it. I'm ignoring it. Anyway,
straw poll in the chat.
Just a quick straw poll. Should I wear a jacket or not? Yes, absolutely.
Or take more off.
No,
Yes.
Dear God, that's even worse. Right, let's get on with it. My name is Guy, of course, and I'm joined by some amazingly wonderful players. Around the table very quickly, we've got Michael Cassavin, all the way from Australia. How are you doing, Michael?
G'day. Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm so pumped, so keen for today.
I am too.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. From Sweden, we got Jenny.
Hi, I'm Jenny. I'm from Sweden. That's all I got today.
Right, you're the Sigourney Weaver character. Got you. Okay, playing Captain Salt. Mark
Yes,
from the UK.
I might die again.
Absolutely. We got Myri from Germany.
Guten Abend. I'm Myri from Orkenspalter TV, German YouTube channel about all this role-playing stuff. And I'm playing Indigo, Diomedea, and I'm going to talk to you about the undead.
Oh, yes, indeed. And then finally, we've got Janet from the UK. Hello, Janet.
Hello. I'm Janet. I'm playing Lohuna, and I'm also the director of World Anvil. And I'm very excited. I had a lot of coffee again today.
There you go. Absolutely. And that
Fun, guys.
leads us quite nicely into our sponsors. Sponsor Love. Our three sponsors for today, well, for the show anyway. We have got DungeonFog.com. Dungeon Fog will be providing all of the maps that you see in today's show. We have World Anvil, worldanvil.com, which is providing all of the background story gathering as well as the character backgrounds and character histories. I'm not sure if our mod is in the chat today, but there are links you can go and find out all about their characters on Heroes, which is a kind of a Facebook for adventurers that's powered by World Anvil. And then Fantasy Grounds. Fantasy Grounds is our virtual tabletop of choice. All of the dice rolls, all of the maps, all of the action will be happening in Fantasy Grounds. So those are our three sponsors. And of course to Dungeons & Dragons, who are paying for the whole show. So we love you a lot. Right, I'm not sure there's much more to go on, except for one last thing. There is a treasure hunt currently going on. Mama Sarduk has buried her treasure somewhere in the Azure Sea. And you can go and find that by going to www.greatgamemaster.com. That's my website, and going to go and look for treasure. Now, what you do is you create an NPC. That NPC may or may not feature in one of the shows. It's something that could possibly happen. And you can try and follow the clues. Now, if you look down there where all of our wonderful sponsors' logos are, you will see that there is a kind of phrase that comes up every now and again. I'm not going to wait for it because Murphy's Law says it's going to be at the end of the cycle. So that phrase, there it is. Hopeless leads south. So far, 2 clues have been given out in the previous 2 episodes. There are 12 clues in total, and if you follow those clues around the map, you should find where Mama Sarduk's treasure is. Now, that treasure chest is growing as we get more and more sponsors on board. We've got Nerdarchy, we've got Dungeons & Dragons, World Anvil, Dungeon Fog, Fantasy Grounds. They're all committing stuff into this amazing giveaway for the lucky pirate who manages to find the buried treasure. So if you haven't joined yet, fear not, you can find those clues on the Dungeons & Dragons YouTube channel or on my own channel, How to Be a Great GM. Those videos are coming out there as well, so you can have a look at that. Great stuff. Are we ready to roleplay?
Yes! Heck yeah!
Awesome! Right! Cast your minds back. Let your remembrance of the world disappear as we step back into the ghosts of Saltmarsh and to that wonderful, wonderful place where the ocean is gently washing away the screen, because I brought it up on the wrong screen. So there we go. The oceans are washing away in the background as we find ourselves in Saltmarsh. Victor, Lahuna, and Jagsy, you are all at the dive known as the Empty Net, where you have just given Kreb a nightmare of an experience by returning from the dead. Myri, Indigo is currently in the forest just on top of Saltmarsh. You have just seen the dead. And Flick, you are about to become the dead, because you were arrested by guards for loitering with intent to loiter. And that's the one charge that they're going to throw against you. So let's pick up our tale of the seas with Indigo. You were on the hill overlooking the town. What are you doing?
I have been talking with the other druid, the other keeper of the balance, who showed me the whole problem. And now I'm taking the bone, the scapula that he handed me, that is kind of a true-seeing artifact, which has shown me what is happening down in the bay with the black aura that is reaching out and also forming around the statues. And I put the scapula away, and I said, now I'm going to brush off the tree stuff. Or Indigo's a druid, so of course she's very nature connected and nature bound, but not with the nature on land. She's not very happy about all those trees looming over her. So she just gets up and starts to leave because she's talked to the gnome. I think was he a gnome or was he a halfling?
He's a halfling.
He's a halfling. Excuse me. Indigo's probably bad at realizing what kind of species and or gender people have. So she just stands up and looks down at him. They have discussed this, and he said that he's a coward and doesn't want to do anything. So she's basically fine with it. She goes, I will see to this. I need to find people, I think. I am probably not enough on my own. This looks bad and this looks big. So I will leave you here and I will take care of things.
There's a slight nod and a puff of smoke as the druid has started to smoke their pipe. Oh, right you are. Yes, off you go.
You are happy with the outcome of this?
Oh, yeah. It's above my growth grade, so you go sort out the undead in the ocean. Oh, yes. Oh,
I will do my best.
Oh, great. Good. Yes.
May your grove live in peace. Peace. Jeez, this place of earth.
Oh, and as I love to say to the townsfolk, may you May you be like a tree in winter and leaf. Get it?
They go away in winter? I look at the trees. Very... you know, I'm watching you.
It must be very different to be underwater, I would imagine.
There's no trees, for one thing. I am leaving. I am sorry. I'm confused by all of this. But the important thing is that we have to fight the dead. Though they called it the Black Tide.
And you can rest assured the moment they make it on land, I'll be right there with you. Shillelagh, ready to go. But until then...
It is my domain, I know. I nod and leave and walk back the path I came. Indigo is, of course, not wearing shoes, so she's probably picking her way very carefully back into town, trying not to step into anything that's either gross and or will bite her.
Right, you are. Absolutely. Where are you heading?
I remember that Lahuna and Victor talked about that we should meet up at a place that's called the Empty Net. Or something similar, at least something empty. So she's going to look around and ask around. So the first person she sees that doesn't seem too busy, she's going to kind of wave in front of the face and say, excuse me, could you explain to me the path I have to walk to get to a place that is empty? No, an empty thing. An empty thing that is a place? A barrel, no. A net. It is a net and empty and a place.
I'm going to come back to you on that one. Yes, we're definitely going to come back to you there. Victor Salt, Jagsy, and Lahuna, what are you doing? You are in the tavern, if you recall.
Yes. Victor's looking around for those drinks that are gone because someone ate them.
Someone ate them.
Yes. Go. Could I have another drink, please? I'm not sure where the first one went.
Victor, you can have whatever you like. I hate to say it, but that strikes me as it's like your last drink. So what exactly is your plan of action here? I mean, we're talking... Well,
Drink
what are we talking
Drink
here?
first. Drink first.
Right, he pours you a very strong drink.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love one of those.
Sure, why not? I mean, it's good money off the bad, I suppose, as they say.
Jagsy's going to, well, he's not going to ask for a drink just yet. Hearing about Victor's story between Cribben and themselves, is there a window or a viewpoint into the street from this floor?
I have shared the map with you, but yes, there are windows everywhere.
Excellent. Well, Jagsy is going to make his way...
Not windows everywhere, because I forgot to put them in on the map. But anyway,
well, we are
windows
clearly
everywhere.
inside of a prison of some kind.
Yes. No, there are windows all around. I don't know why.
It's an ambush. No. All right. I'm gonna move. I'm gonna move to the doorway, and just sort of take a casual glance out onto the street at this point. Mostly because Jagsy remembers that when we pulled into port, we obviously were being towed by the very, very large first-rate vessel. And while they were relatively unnoticed, there were still some rather sordid comments about his beloved ship when he pulled into dock, which means that they were probably noticed to a degree. Knowing that obviously the captain is in fact quite severely wanted, he just wants to make sure that we're not cornering ourselves at this point.
As you pop your head out of the window, give me a perception check, if you please.
Sorry, I kind of in my own head played that I popped my head out just as a small child was walking past and went, 16.
16. So when you look outside, it is painfully obvious that there are two very burly-looking humans that have edumacation up to, say, the third or fourth finger, and no further than that. They are standing, leaning nonchalantly, watching the tavern with intent. And when you open the door, you look at them, they look at you, you look back at each other, and then they suddenly pretend to look at the seagulls. But there's about a 4-second delay in terms of the visual processor and the brain happening. So, yes, that's kind of what's going on.
Yeah, Jagged will go back in and look at the captain and Luna, not wanting to stress out the captain much more than he currently is. He leans over to Luna mid-drink. He's intentionally waiting for her to sort of have the drink to her lips. We got a problem. Two blokes out the front seem to have their eye fixed on this place, looking at it but more than I would. A nice big juicy steak. I reckon we got trouble brewing, and it's going to be here more quick than we'd like. Recommendation: if we don't want these good folk to get caught up in it, we need to make sure that they understand that we aren't on good terms with them, if you follow my meaning, first mate.
So we're thinking plan number 3?
Yeah, you know, the
Plan
get
number
help.
3. Plan number 3. Victor, it's time
What?
for plan number 3.
Why?
We've been through this.
I know, but look, everyone knows me and Kreb are close. It's not gonna work.
Jagsy
Besides,
will
he's not
look.
that good an actor.
Jagsy will go over to Maureen. Was it Maureen? I feel like Maureen
she's
was
in the kitchen, busy prepping food frantically.
Cool. I'll apologize first and foremost before pulling out my very large, heavy-set rusted anchor.
Give me an initiative check, please.
Yep. Oh no!
Oh dear.
Initiative. I'm not blind.
Main
Here
roll
we
your
go.
character sheet.
Maureen's kitchen.
Yeah. Oh dear!
Ooh.
I got a 5.
Lord by a frying pan.
You kind of reach for your anchor. Before your hand even gets to closing around the anchor, Maureen is at your throat. She has a cleaver just underneath your first gill, and her other hand is holding this rather large silver fork at your lower, possibly reproductive organs, which we won't think about.
Jagsy, you're fucked.
You're-
She looks at you. Sorry, let me move you to the right spot here. There was a table in between the two of you. I'm just going to reveal this to you guys quickly on the map.
Yep. Oh good. I just on my screen it just looked like I disappeared.
Yes. She was standing here, and now she's standing here.
Ain't nothing personal. But there's trouble, and this is the only thing I can do.
We can run away.
Look, Jags, what are you doing in there?
I'm at the risk of having my throat slit. I'm going to try and use athletics to try and get a hand onto the knife that's against Jagsy's throat, and try to hip throw her onto the table with all the food and prep.
Sure. Give me an athletics check.
What is he doing?
I don't know. I thought it was.
A natural 20. A natural 20. I like that. That's what you get. She does not get a natural 20. You quickly grab, twist, and chuck. She gives the barest grunt of a sound as you slam her onto the table.
And I'm going to basically slide her across it, just trying to make as much noise as possible with this.
There is a tremendous amount of noise as pots, pans. She's not saying a word, by the way. She is busy sort of fighting with your grapple. Victor, you and Lahuna are hearing this from outside. There's a little doorway. It's slightly open. Kreb hears it. He looks at you. What is your fish doing?
I thought plan 3 was run away.
Oh,
I'm gonna rush over to the door.
you and I remember plan 3 on very differently.
I just sort of rush over and just slam open the door.
Right. You rush
To the
over.
kitchen.
You slam open the door.
Jagsy!
Jagsy has got Maureen by her bodice and her corset, I suppose, and is busy dragging her across her own kitchen counter. There's food and bits and pieces all over the place.
I just very sort of deliberately take one of my nasty rusted boarding axes and I hold it in my hand and I go, Jaggerjaw, let her go right now.
Luna, what are you doing?
I go behind Victor because my job is to stop Victor going supernova. So I run behind Victor.
Right.
First of all, I put my hand on his shoulder and I say, Jaggerjaw, this is not helping and it's not super polite either. Just saying.
I'll come back to you. Poor old Fleck, you are being taken by the ruff of your neck towards this very imposing structure. You were there not a few moments ago, as a matter of fact, having a look at the statue outside of it. It's the large city hall that you're being taken to. I'm going to give you a map shortly. As you are making your way there, you can see that there's a large crowd of people that have started to gather around the statue itself. There looks to be some kind of ceremony starting to happen. You can see that individual that you had a few words with standing looking very important in front of the statue, as if they're about to reveal the plaque that was behind that curtain, if you recall. And that's what you can see as the guards are busy dragging you forward.
What's going on?
Oi, nothing from you, thank you very much. You're under arrest.
Oh, all right.
What's the guard wearing?
I'm gonna I'm gonna share this map with you now, so you can have a look at that, and we'll go from there. So you're being led up towards these very large steps, but on your left, you notice that large tank that had that giant octopus in it. So that is just to your left-hand side. The right-hand side, of course, is where the statue is busy being unveiled, and there's a large crowd that has gathered around that type of thing. But you seem to be being marched by this one guard up towards the main doors of this very large town hall.
Yeah, so what's the guard wearing?
The guard is wearing chainmail and an IQ of about 6. He wears this because that's his face. When you ask him a question, he stops walking because there's too many things going on so that he can answer. And then once he's answered, then you carry on walking. That's a sign of Flick stretching his mental muscles as he's about to destroy this poor, innocent young guard who has done nothing other than his job.
Excuse me.
You stop. Yeah?
Do you know who Victor Salt is?
Double. The first roll was a 1. No.
Oh. Right.
I have
Bless
another
Flick's
idea.
dogs.
Right, so
He starts pushing you forward again because there's no more conversation.
Can I roll insight to see how thick the glass is on the tank?
No, you can't. Yes, you can. It's not an insight check. You need to give me an investigate check, if you please.
Right. Okay.
Oh no.
We haven't reached peak flick yet.
No, apparently
No,
not.
nothing's on fire yet.
Oh, just give him a moment. This does look to be
wait.
a...
That was insight. Sorry.
Yes, investigate, if you please.
It was the exact same.
Well, it's slightly better. Slightly better. You look
modifier.
at this large tank. The creature in the tank, it does not look like a happy octopus. It looks angry. It looks frustrated. You completely understand why. This creature does not belong in a tank that's barely big enough for it to actually fit. And yeah, the glass looks to be particularly thick. The other thing that you notice is that the glass is not at all maintained. So there's this kind of scummy slime that's formed on the inside of it. Simply because obviously they don't clean out the tank very often. You do notice, now that you're looking at the tank, that there are quite a lot of skulls, human skulls, at the bottom of the tank. And other bones and bits and pieces, and that there is a walkway leading up to the top of the tank, and then a rather ominous gangplank leading out over the pool itself.
Mr. Guard! Mr. Guard!
You stop. Yeah.
You know, I'm going to be sentenced to death.
Yeah.
Do I die by octopus?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't think that'll work.
It will. It always has.
No, it won't. It won't work. I promise. I'm friends with octopuses. Look!
And as I do that, I want to cast a spell on the tank.
On the tank, okay.
Well, actually, I'm going to fire at the tank with Ice Shard.
Why?
Alright. You're going to fire at the tank with Ice
Agent
Shard.
of Chaos.
Absolute agent of chaos. You have advantage on your initiative check. Because the guard is standing right there next to you, and he is looking at you, although admittedly he's still trying to process why the execution would. With advantage, you get 11. The guard has all of the options of getting a 10. So he sees you moving, and his brain starts to process stuff, but then he has to respond verbally, because that's what he's been told to do. So that delays him ever so slightly. You can fire off whatever you so choose. You do notice coming up the hill from the docks a rather large contingent of the first rate's navymen coming towards this big convocation of people at the statue.
Is there anybody I recognise in that contingent?
Yes, it looks like that admiral fellow is at the front, and then that slimy one that tried to kill you is just behind him.
Okay, I don't cast a spell then.
Okay.
I stop as I'm about to cast and look and turn to the admiral and say,
Help! Help! I'm being oppressed!
The guard looks down at you.
Help!
You're not oppressed
Yes!
yet. You're under arrest.
No! I'm being oppressed! Mr. Admiral! Mr. Admiral!
The guard is looking around. The crowd is kind of looking back at you, at the guard. You can see the admiral is busy pulling his tunic straight as he's walking up this hill towards this procession. He sees you. He sort of turns and whispers to the smarmy one, who breaks rank with the rest of the military, and sort of does a double skip walk up towards where you are. The guard is like, no, come on, inside you. Let's go.
No!
Are you resisting arrest?
No, you're just fat. And I want another guard. Oh, hello. We've met before.
You can't have another guard.
Why? You smell as well.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah, well, it's the truth. Maybe a bath a few times a week. Clean the chainmail, oil it. That helps, I hear. Perfume, that might help.
The smarmy one comes sidling up. Oh, it's you.
Hello. I'm being arrested.
Finally.
Well, not for anything actually wrong. I haven't done anything wrong. I just got lost.
He looks
Could
at
you
the
help-
guard. He tried to break onto His Majesty's ship earlier on and pilfer from the Admiral's quarters. Tell that to the judge when you hand him over.
You
Now
liar!
move along. The guard starts to drag you up the steps. Are you going to resist? You don't have to make an insight check to see that the smarmy one is smiling from ear to ear.
Oh, I'll get you.
As you're being dragged backwards. It's like, I'll get you, I'll get you. Alright. Indigo, you are coming down, you are standing next to this farmer who is very confused as to your question.
Yes. It might also have been a nest. Yes. For birds. But the name only. It's a house where you drink. Do you get anything of what I'm saying? Is this the right language?
He leans on his hoe. It's a farmer who's been standing in his field. And he looks at you. You want to go somewhere where it is empty. It is empty. And it's got a net.
A nest. I think it was a nest. A place to breed. Not literally.
You want to
I'm
breed?
talking about the name. No, not yet.
Not yet.
I'm still young.
Oh, all right. I didn't know. You look older. All right. You want to go to some place that's
thank
empty and it's a nest, right? You've got to be talking about the empty net. Let me tell you what. I'll take you there myself. Just if the missus ever asks, I was showing you how to get there, not that I was going there to get there.
Yes, that is what we are doing, right?
Oh, really? Is that what we're doing? Yeah, all right, I'll show you. Come on, let's go. It's not too far. It's just down the road. Oh, we probably want to avoid the ceremony.
What
we'll go over
ceremony?
there. Oh, the toffs are busy showing off some new statue or other. They've been building it for months now. Anyway, it got
They're doing
finished.
something with the statue. They should not.
No, well, they are. It's like a big town thing. They're busy revealing the plaque and all that nonsense today.
That is a very bad idea.
Well, it's not a very nice statue. I mean, they could have at least done a new one rather than just copy the old one. But yeah, absolutely.
They are going to bring doom and death down on this town.
No, yeah, quite probably. Yeah, that's usually what the bigwigs do. You know, they never listen to us. No.
They do this often?
Well,
Is this a
yeah,
plan?
They're in charge, obviously.
Why don't you do anything against it?
What, like a peasant rebellion? Oh, no, that would never work. Never work. No. You see, it's the organisational structure inherent within the system.
Then the system is wrong.
Oh, yes, it is. It's very wrong. But you know, some things you just can't change.
Everything changes.
Yeah, like you getting a little bit older. So let's go on down to the empty nest, eh?
Yeah, well, let's. No. Let's not try and go around the statue thing that they're doing. It might be worth risking a glance.
Well, all right, if you say so. Yeah, all right, I suppose. He sort of buries his hoe in the dirt.
And also the
spits on his
system.
hands and sort of wipes them off a little bit. That just moves the mud around. So he sort of wipes it on his jacket. If only I had a bit of ash lying around, I could wash my hands. All right, doesn't matter. Yeah, let's go, he says. Allow me, he says. And he sticks his arm out so that you can put your arm through his.
Indigo looks at his elbow.
No, all right, independent woman. I respect that. Sometimes I wish my wife wasn't so much of an independent woman, if you know what I'm saying. But anyway, it's okay. It's fine. Separate beds. It's absolutely okay. Nothing wrong with our marriage. It's all good. Let's go.
What is wrong is that you are missing an Eostra.
Sorry, we're missing what?
The third part of your partnership. An Eostra.
You want to be the third part of our partnership? Oh, I like this. Where did you come from, my dear? The blue's a little bit weird, but I can get used to that.
I'm starting to get the feeling that this is one of these situations where humans say things that you do not really mean.
Oh no, I definitely mean it. I'll be happy to be in a partnership with you. Yeah.
But I'm not an Eostra. It makes no sense. You already have a woman. Let's go into town. What? Why?
Not as nice as you are, and she shouts at me, and she's angry all the time. Spends what little profit we make on fancy dresses, which she wears at night. It's just all the time. All right, let's go. He starts to lead you down the path, grumbling about his marital life and the trials and tribulations that go therewith. As you're getting closer and closer to the centre of town, you start to hear there's quite a hubbub, quite a noise of people chatting and talking. And there's some dogs barking in the background.
And the seabold screaming.
There could be some screaming happening in the background. Yes. But yes, you start to make your way in there. Back to the three of you inside the very, very serious situation. Jagger, what are you doing? Your captain has shouted at you.
I feel as though I have misunderstood the plan, but I, as Jaggerjaw, am committed to it. Geez, what would Jaggerjaw even do? I think at this point, he would say, in a very loud voice, loud enough that maybe the street outside would be able to hear. You're right, Captain. This place isn't worth our time, and we should destroy as much as we can for the lark of it.
Jaggerjaw.
Luna, what are you doing?
Lahuna bounds over to Jaggerjaw, and she puts a hand on his shoulder and she says, "Look, little shark pup. Put her down. She's fragile. And I am attempting to persuade him with the strength of my charisma. Come on, little shark pup.
You're trying to
We
calm?
don't need to do it.
You're trying to calm him down, Janet?
I'm trying to calm him down and get him to put down the fragile flesh creature."
You don't know Maureen.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't
Everything looks fragile in that Sharkan's hands.
That's true, actually. Maureen does look pretty. Yeah, but Jaggerjaw sort of leans in forward. It doesn't actually take much because Jaggerjaw says in a very calm fashion, First Mate, is everything okay? Because those guys out the front are going to think that these two here are helping us out. If they think they're helping us out, this place is probably going to get attacked and burnt.
Can I hear this?
Or we're just in a pub buying drinks.
Yeah, with someone who knows. And I sort of point at the captain. I'm trying to kind of keep this, not trying to hide the secret from the captain, but more trying to not offend the captain's pride by saying that, He's just stressed out captain. I'm trying to be considerate in a shark way.
Mostly confused right now.
By eating things. Yeah, the captain should be completely confused at what Jagsy's doing. But, he thought that's what he says to Lahuna as he sort of leans in.
Your armor class is not 18. You get stabbed twice by a fork to the kidneys. Marion is lying there and she just goes, "Bwah! Bwah!" with this fork twice into you. You take 5 points of damage.
I'll sort of pull out the fork and sort of I won't have any repercussions to it. I'll sort of continue the conversation with
whilst
Lahuna.
holding her on the table.
Oh no, sorry. I'm not holding her. Once I sort of slid her across, I'll let her go. Like I won't keep hanging onto her.
So
my
your
attention
fin's off at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. To make it clear, I was on the intent sort of. You know the whole bar slide thing they do, like when you slide someone across something. It was more to that kind of thing.
Got you. Salt, what are you doing with all of this going on?
Just staring in absolute confusion.
Crib leans over. What the hell is he doing?
I don't know.
He's going to die.
Yeah, I
Leave
know.
that Marion in her kitchen.
I know. I'm gonna just take my axe and I'm gonna just point it at Jaggerjaw and I'm gonna go, I apologize right now, or I'm not going to be able to save you. Jaggerjaw, apologize.
Jaggerjaw will, at this point, sort of look at Lahuna and sort of... He kind of stands really tall. Like, Jaggerjaw by nature is a slouching kind of character, very lazy for the most part. At this point, he stands erect. And he says, I'm gonna cool my head, Captain. And he'll look at Maureen and sort of hand back the fork. He'll sort of look like he's being super aggressive, but actually whisper to Maureen, I'm really sorry. I will pay for all this food. I'm so sorry. And I'll and at this point I will sort of brush past Lahuna.
Before you get there, as you say, I'm really sorry. Oh, she got a natural 20. I need you to give me a strength saving throw, please.
Oh, good lord, why?
You attacked Marine. It's just
I did. To be fair. Okay, you know what? I'm going to use my inspiration on this. Just because I don't want to die. All right, here we go. So, just a strength saving throw?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Oh, thank God I did.
Dirty 20.
Woo!
Dirty 20. So it's not as bad. As you're leaning over saying, I'm really sorry about this, she looks up at you. There's a brief smile that flashes across her very red face. And suddenly her legs wrap around your neck and she backflips over the side of the table, bringing you with her. She was going to pile drive you into the stones behind the table. However, because of your resistant strength, all that ends up happening is she just drags you over the kitchen table, and the two of you land in this mess on the other side of the table. As you thud down next to her, she looks at you and she says, apology accepted.
Sure. Yep. I deserve that.
All right, are we good now? Has this stopped, whatever this is? I'm sorry about this, Maureen. I have no idea what he's doing. Luna, what is going on? Just please, someone tell me what's going on.
I think Jaggerjaw just slightly misinterpreted the whole talk, fight, run away. I think he remembered a different plan 3, and that's cool, and it's not his fault. But, I think that we should really be moving away from here now because of reasons.
All right. Oh, all right. So this is okay, I'm not even going to try. Look, can I say what I had in plan? had planned for this? I mean, I'm the captain, right?
Yes, Captain.
Can I just tell you what I was going to do?
Victor's getting super salty. Lahuna is quite used to this, so she just sort of pretends to look like she's listening intently.
Because my plan was also to leave, and we could have done that a little faster if you hadn't started attacking Maureen. I'm terribly sorry, Maureen, in her kitchen.
Hand gets raised above the table, sort of thumbs up.
Thank you. I'll make it up to you somehow. I don't know.
It's fine, we'll add it to your tab.
Thank you. Look, I'm going to go, and I'm going to go talk to Mr. Primewater.
Luna's face falls.
Because, look, Kreb, you know him. Not as well as I do, but you know him. Look, what do you think would make him in a better mood? That I come to talk to him, or that he has to come get me?
What does the hangman prefer? For the person he's going to hang himself, or for him to do it? It's really salty. I mean, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Hey? I mean, the fact that you wrestled his favorite shark to death on the beach before you left. I mean, what more could you do to insult the man? So, well, walking in would certainly be a definite...
I did what on the beach?
Yeah, everybody knows the story. Once you insulted Victor, you then killed his shark, got on your boat, and sailed off into the sunset, where you then died.
No,
so that's why Victor then sent. That's why then Gellan sent pirates after you to find you, so that he could put a bounty on you.
Kreb, I left because I didn't want to kill any more people. All right?
You don't want to kill any more people.
No.
Salt,
look,
what the hell?
Kreb,
That's the funniest joke
please.
I've heard in a long time.
Kreb,
You don't want to kill
I'm tired.
people. Yeah.
I'm tired, and I don't want to kill people anymore.
What, like seriously? Like ever?
Yes.
What, like dead? Not as in you... What, do you knock them unconscious, I suppose?
Well, yes, if I have to. Look, I'm still going to defend myself if someone comes at me, but...
Oh, that trick. Yeah, you know the law doesn't really care.
Kreb,
You tried
I'm
that
serious.
once before. It's like,
Kreb,
no, he was trying to attack me while he was chained up and inside a cell, but I swear he killed himself. What?
I almost bloody died, Kreb. Do you
Yes,
know
I
how
know.
black
We all
my
heard the
soul
story.
is?
Yeah, we heard this.
I don't want to do this anymore. Look, I'm
Like
going to go
telling
talk
that
to
to Gellan.
Primewater.
Well, he might make
Yes.
sure that you don't ever get it. Listen, you lot should actually go. And I'm thinking maybe now it's not such a good idea if you were to stay here. He says, looking at Jagsy in a tangle with Maureen.
Yes, no, we'll find...
Uncle!
I think it looks like they're having fun.
Look, we'll find somewhere. I'll still find a way to talk to the chef and see if he can come work here for a while. Could use every copper we can have right now. But look, I'll go talk to him. I'll try to smooth it out. I don't know what I'll do. If I survive, I'll find some way to... I don't know.
Yeah, look, if you need a place to lay low, there's always that old place up on the hill that no one goes to anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
Which one?
I mean, you know the old mansion place up there that was owned by that crazy man.
Wasn't that place haunted?
Well, sure, but I mean, what's your alternative? You're gonna go sleep out on the marsh, eh? I mean, it's not very nice. I'll speak to Maureen and see, but
Yeah.
she doesn't like being attacked. It's a very personal
No,
thing
I
for
get
her,
that.
okay?
I get that. I'm sorry, Maureen. I'm sorry. Look, we're going. Jags, we're going right now, all right?
I put my hand down to help Jags up.
I'm sorry, Kreb. This is not how I wanted to see you again.
Jags will sort of get to his feet and sort of dust himself off. He won't help Maureen up, not because he's not being polite, but because he sort of respects how strong she is, that he feels like helping her up would be an insult to her. Jagsy will walk out very promptly first, a little embarrassed, mind you. As he does so, He's gonna also check on the two men that were watching the
Sure thing.
the side of the building.
Okay. You step outside. The two men are still watching the building, watching the doorway. They see you, and again, there's that slight delay as they then look up at the seagulls, pretending not to have seen you. There's a commotion happening in town. You can hear it from here. It sounds like a band has started up, but it definitely involves bagpipes and possibly a tuba. And unfortunately, the two of them, because both of them you need to sort of fill up with air first before sound comes out. Unfortunately, the two players are not in rhythm in terms of their embouchure, so there's a certain amount of tuba ahead of bagpipe delay that's happening. It's an interesting melody, to be sure, just not particularly one that anyone apart from cats might perhaps quite like to hear.
Great. Just what I
Captain,
needed.
someone's blowfish stomping in the middle of town.
I know. Perfect. Headache's just what I needed as well.
As those two guys sort of looking towards him, Jagsy's gonna try and pretend like he's a lot more injured than he is, like holding the fork stab wound and stuff like that.
Right.
Because I imagine that those two guys were close enough to have heard the commotion in the kitchen.
Oh, yes. No, absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt, they certainly were. So you're heading out, looking slightly injured.
Yeah.
Luna?
You're not going to see Gellan by yourself.
Why not? Luna, come on. You know what I've told you about him.
Yes. And you know what I've told you about me.
This isn't about that. I'm not saying that you're not dangerous enough for this. I'm saying I don't want you on his map if you're not already on it.
If they're saying this at the entrance, Jagsy's gonna sort of like cough and guide Luna's gaze towards the two people watching.
Ah, right. Not the time for the mushy stuff. Victor, I dragged you for 3 days.
Yes, I know.
Leaking.
I know.
You are not going to throw that away, all right?
Is there any way I can convince you not to follow me?
Well, you can tell me not to follow you. You know how good I am at following orders.
Oh, yeah. Great. I'm gonna just walk up to these two gentlemen.
Look, a seagull.
Hi. What's your name?
Dan.
Hi, Dan. I'm Victor.
Yeah, we kind of know that, don't we?
Does he want to talk to me? Or are you here to kill me?
No. We haven't got that far up yet, the ranks of Mr. Primewater. No. We're just here to see what you're doing.
Right, where is he?
He's at his mansion, isn't he?
Alright. Do you want to walk me there, or should I go alone? I mean, you're going to follow me either way, aren't you?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what he said.
Do you want to go ahead? Tell him I'm coming? Maybe he doesn't kill you. How about one of you runs ahead and the other one can follow?
Oh, that's pretty good, actually. They look at each other. There is some serious braining going on. No, hang on a moment. If we do that, then we're splitting up. And then you can...
If I wanted you dead, you're dead already.
What, really?
I look at Jagger, and then I look at them, and I'm like...
Yeah,
Besides,
you know what,
Joe,
I think they're busy pushing over each other. I think I should go. No, I should definitely go, says the other. No, it'd be my pleasure.
Joe, how hungry are you right now?
I could eat.
We'll go tell them that you're here. Here. Both of them leg it off down towards the cacophony that is nearby.
Oh,
I lean over and pat Jagsy on the back, and as I do that, I deploy lay on hands. So there's a very small and stressed prayer that's like, oh God, Elise, help, please, yes, with the healing, with the thing, you know the thing, yeah. And
thing we do,
with the thing, you know, the thing that we did before, that it worked with the thing, right? So yeah, please. And I'm holding my holy symbol, which is a pebble, a smooth pebble. And a very awkward sputter of aquamarine light comes out of my fingers. And Jaggy gains 5 hit points.
Nice. Very, very nice. And so, as we move from the empty nest across town, we come across a rather unfortunate little seabold being dragged inside the town hall. So, you are taken inside by the guard. Are you resisting? You get to the top of the door. The smarmy one, the captain, is still watching as you're being dragged away. The rest of the regiment of the King's Navy have all gathered around the crowd that's busy sort of watching as Anders Saltmarsh is standing next to the statue. This great carving of my great-great-great-great-grandfather is dedicated...
Eat me! Go get a sandwich! Don't eat me! Ah!
No one pays any attention to the screaming little seabold as you are dragged inside this room. Now look here, you. There's no need to be difficult.
Oh, really? Why?
Well, because it just makes it hard for me to get you to walk down the damn passageway, doesn't it?
Oh, well, I'll be nice if you're nice.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're going to walk then.
How is he holding on to me right now?
He's not. He's standing next to you. The front door is open.
Okay. I'm just gonna throw Pinky in his face.
You're going to throw Pinky in his face.
Yeah.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. All right, you are going to throw Pinky in his face. Make your attack with Pinky.
Roll for Pinky.
It's a ranged attack, so it's basically just a dexterity modifier attack.
Okay, sure. But it's +2, isn't it? Because they've got a...
Have you got ranged attack? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'll just roll my crossbow and then... I guess.
Yeah. 8. Even with the guard standing there looking at you, you're trying to sort of surreptitiously throw Pinky, aren't you?
No, I'm just going, eh.
Yes. Unfortunately, Pinky's like, we've done this before. And then a shark man nearly ate me. So you kind of go, eh. And Pinky is still wrapped around your hand. His little sucker's desperately holding on for all it's worth, as he does not want to get thrown at all at the guard.
You like him?
Oh, you brought your own execupus. Okay. Right. Let's... It's very cute. Let's go.
Execupus.
Okay. Which cell is mine? Can I get my own cell?
Well, as a matter of fact, you do. The only other person who's in here is, well, let's just say is a little bit inebriated, and that's why they're in here, right?
Oh, okay.
So he leads you down this long corridor. I'm going to share. I have shared the map with you.
How long have you been a guard?
I've been
Not counting.
a while.
Oh, yeah. Is it nice? Does it pay well?
I guess.
Do you take bribes?
What?
Bribes, you know, money. You take bribes.
Oh, I get paid. So yes, I take money, I suppose you could say. You step into
Would
this
you like
large...
a bribe?
It looks like you're stepping into this large courtroom as you're asking him, do you want to bribe? And there isn't anybody here. There is the very quiet sound of someone sleeping, however, coming from the central lectern at the top of the stairs leading up onto a ramp where it would appear that the judge would sit.
There's someone sleeping.
Yeah, it's probably the magistrate. Yeah.
Oh,
All right,
is
you
His
want to see
Majesty okay?
What?
His Majesty, is he okay?
The king?
No, what's his name? Who's that?
Oh, that's a magistrate.
Oh,
Yeah, it took me years to learn that.
yeah, very confusing.
He gets you to a single door. All right. Oh, yeah. He pulls this large set of keys off of his belt and opens up the door. All right. Which one would you like? He says. He points to two fairly small cells on either side. It doesn't really matter which one you choose, I suppose. They're both pretty much the same thing. I reckon they probably get to you after the ceremony.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Which one has a window?
Oh, no. Neither of them have got a window, actually.
Terrible service. Right, I guess I'll take this one.
I'll put the one in front of me.
Right you are. He again unlocks the door, or he fumbles with the keys for a little bit. He unlocks the door. He lets you in. He then sits down on the chair.
Before he does that, can
okay.
I try and steal the key?
He did leave it in the padlock, so yes, you can give me a sleight of hand check.
Okay. Not very good guard.
No.
Oh yeah, I did forget them in the lock. I'm not a very good guard, am I? He says as he takes the keys. Thank you. He sits down. Oh, he then closes the bars and then locks them. Yeah. Indigo, your journey across town is fairly uneventful. As you are making your way towards the empty nest, you come around the corner and there is, without a shadow of a doubt, a very large commotion happening. Someone who's obviously very important is busy standing, talking about whatever it might be, addressing the crowd, standing in front of that large statue that you saw.
Indigo stops. Then I get out the scapula. I look through it at the statue to get a closer look.
As you do so, the statue is wreathed in this black energy, which now that you're closer, it's not smoke. You thought it was smoke. It isn't. It looks like tendrils of water, waves almost sort of washing over the statue. But there's a faint trail that seems, as it gets up into the sky, and this trail arcs over the city towards a point on a hill to the north, where it seems to link up with something happening over there. And then there's another arc that reaches out into the ocean itself, deep out into the Azure Bay towards Bannon's Channel, where it then touches down into the water, almost like a black rainbow, if you like, stretching between these. And of course, when we got the directive from the Crown to build this statue, of course, the Saltmarsh stepped in and paid for it to be built. After all, the connection with our ancestors is very important, is what the principal individual is saying. He's quite charismatic, he's quite young, looks like a bit of an idiot, as he's presiding next to this little plaque that's got a curtain in front of it.
Indigo steps forward and asks, at a point, she's trying to be nice. She knows humans don't like to be talked over.
Sure,
So she
there are
waits and
lots of them gathered here.
draws breath, and then she asks very politely, "So, did you also put the black magic on the statue? Or was there someone else?"
Give me an insight check, if you please.
Sure. Inside. Oh, I'm actually not bad at that. Roll.
16. That is pretty good. I like it. Let me just roll here very quickly. Yeah, you are good, but he seems to be better. Anders doesn't even bat an eyelid. I'm sorry, was there a question from the crowd?
No, from me.
He sort of looks over. Oh, I see. No, right. Any other questions before I reveal the plaque? He says, and you sense that someone's approaching you through the crowd. They're moving quite quickly. Rather elderly gentleman dressed in rather fine coattails is making his way rather pointedly towards you.
I'm going to turn around and look at him rather pointedly.
He stops short and gives you a very slight bow. You had a question about Mr. Solmore's statue, I believe.
Yes.
I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have, but perhaps this is not the right platform within which to ask. Very noisy.
He looks down. Platform?
The ceremony has still quite some time to go. Care to join
Then
me?
we
I
have
have
time.
a private suite in the town hall, he says, indicating the large building directly behind him.
So you do not want to talk about the black magic here out in the open?
I'm not entirely sure to what you're referring, but I will be happy to answer any questions you might have. Just not here. We don't want to interrupt the ceremonies.
I don't need you happy, I just need you honest. If you're
And
going
I
to be
shall
honest, if we go into the
absolutely
building,
open with you, my dear, but not here.
fine.
He gestures towards the door.
Then I will follow you. Yes.
He heads up the stairs of the town hall. The door is already ajar. After you, my dear.
Are there some rules for who goes first? The older person
Forgive me.
or the pretty one?
You are quite right in your assertion. You are by far the far more beautiful one than I am, without a doubt. And I'm probably older than you, although you are an aquatic elf, so that's always difficult to tell. I forget you are not completely privy with our customs. This is your first time in Saltmarsh, perhaps?
The first time I actually stepped foot on the land.
It is quite an occasion. We should definitely find some time to celebrate. It isn't often that we get such a beauty amongst us from the depths of the ocean.
Are you
Now,
trying to
if you-
court me?
No, I am not trying to court you, simply stating a fact. You quite simply outstrip anyone who you will find in the Saltmarsh these days, I'm afraid to say.
I will just take your words as they are given. And
As
if
you
you insist on me
probably
going first, I will.
I understand this is not your custom below the waves. I myself have not, unfortunately, had much experience under the ocean. I would be very interested one day, perhaps, to visit your section, but not perhaps today, I fear. He leads you into the hall and takes you through a little side door into the space. I have shared it with you already. He takes you into the side boardroom of the hall where he offers you a seat. Now, you had some questions about black energy of some kind. Let's just discuss that, if you will. Have you spoken about this to anyone else?
Not at length, I think.
So no one else would know about your ideas on black magic coming from the statue?
I wouldn't say that. It's very obvious. So I guess anyone who looks at it with the right kind of eyes We'll see it.
And you believe you have the right kind of eyes?
I do. Certainly.
Yes. Captain Salt, you are slowly making your way across town, I assume.
Yeah.
Jagsy, Lahuna, are you following along or are you going off?
Luna's following. She also is grinning and whistling.
Jagsy will not follow. He sort of, knowing that Luna's with the captain, things are more or less in hand. Jagsy will turn to the captain and say, if it's all the same to you, Captain, there's still lots of work to be done before the ship's ready to sail. Plus, call me crazy, but I don't really like the idea of Flick floating about with no one keeping check on him.
No. Just true. Look, just...
I'll meet you back at the second chance this evening.
If either one of us don't come back, why don't we put Indigo in charge, right?
Aye, Captain. I'll relay that to the men.
Right. And, I mean, she's fairly level-headed.
Don't listen to Mr. Grumpy Boots. We're coming back, all right?
It's a big chance we don't. And if we don't, just get her fixed up and some cargo and get out of here.
And Captain, for what it's worth, about what happened back there, I know you're going through something, and far be it from me to even pretend like I understand half of the stuff that you landfolk talk about, but, you know, I kind of like Maureen, and I really don't want to see anything bad happening. That whole stunt in there, I should have trusted you a bit more. And for what it's worth, I'm sorry.
Jagged Joe, I have no idea what you were trying to do in there. I genuinely have no idea.
Just a bit of theatre that went wrong. It's all cool. Everyone's fine. No one's stabbed with a fork anymore.
Oh, were you trying to make it look like we were enemies? Like they didn't like us for some reason and then they wouldn't get dragged into this?
I'm gonna go fix the ship. Jagador doesn't deal with embarrassment. Jagador walks away from embarrassment. He's storms.
All right, just...
Bye. We'll
Take
miss
care.
you. Bye.
Damn it. That wasn't a bad idea, Luna. It wasn't a bad idea. Just, you know.
So Jagador is going to make his way towards the mercantile district. I'm going to try and head towards the Carpenters Guild to go and visit an old friend.
I got you. You are heading towards the Carpenters Guild. Not a problem. So that's... Oh, moving the wrong thing. You're going up there. Lahuna and Captain Salt. Are you walking along the beach road to get to Primewater's mansion, or are you taking the main road?
Following Victor.
Whichever's faster.
All right. Okay. Take the main road towards Gellan's estate. It's not a problem. You hear there's some more talking and shouting from, it looks like the town hall, really, where there's this gathering of people. But you make your way without any problems whatsoever towards Gellan's estate. As you get closer, you see this large structure that you are all too familiar with. You know that Gellan Primewater's mansion down here is one of the prime spots in Saltwater. There's a reason for it. He has an underground system of caves that leads to the docks, where most of the slaves that you were responsible for helping acquire are led into his property. His illegal cargo is led in through some caves. They sit in a rather unique position directly underneath a boathouse that he had constructed specifically to hide their existence. But yes, that is where you are heading. Flick, are you doing anything whilst incarcerated in the prison of doom?
Flick will be studying the cell.
Unfortunately, it's rather well made insofar as it's just all stone that's been concreted together with some rather old and rusty bars.
What kind of hinges do the bars have?
It's a very simple wrought iron drop-down hinge into a hoop at the top, and the same at the bottom. If you were strong enough, you could possibly lift this whole bar system out of that hook and loop situation, but it looks like it's pretty strong.
And is the guard still there?
Oh yeah, he's sitting on the chair. He's sort of staring blankly at you.
So about that bribe.
The bribe?
Yeah.
You want to give me money so I'll let you go?
Yeah, you like money, right?
Well, that derails his chain of moral thought. Yes?
Well, I'll give you some, and then I go and have fun, and you get more money, and everybody's happy.
I think so. Wait, let me think about this. He takes his one boot off, looks down at his feet.
It's counting.
All right.
Ah, excellent. Okay. Well, you've got to get me out of here. So open the door, and we'll go out, and then we'll give you some. I'll give you my money.
Right. Hang on a moment. Oh, no, you don't, you tricksy little seed thing. I'm not stupid. No, I'm not going to let you out before you give me the money.
Oh, do you want the money first?
Yeah.
Okay, here you go.
I pull out a gold piece and throw him a gold piece.
Right. He puts it in his pocket. Oh. He then unlocks the crate.
Oh, thank you. You never told me your name, by the way.
You want my name?
Yeah.
Oh god. Another intelligence roll.
I've never been to Saltmarsh before. It'd be nice to have a friend.
You want to be my friend?
Yeah. You're nice to me. I'm nice to you.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, okay, I guess. Sort of.
Let's go.
By the way, my name's Alid.
Oh, nice to meet you. My name is Flick.
What, like a jump backwards?
Yeah.
Ah. Right.
Come on.
You
I
are.
kind of take his hand. I'm going to take his hand. And I'm going to lead him out of the chamber.
He's still trying to work out this entire idea of who's doing what and your name of Flick. You get to the main chamber with the magistrate. Not a problem whatsoever. There's still a comfortable dozing sound happening coming from the lectern itself. You then start to make your way into the passageway. So, like, your parents named you after a jump?
Well, it's a long story, but yes, they did.
You get into the principal main hallway. You can see the exit to this prison of yours just a few dozen feet away. Mine named me because when I was born, I comes out on my mum and my dad says, "Look, a lad."
Oh, it does make sense. Yeah,
Yeah. So that's what the priest wrote down. A
it's a
lad.
good name.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah. It does get a bit confusing sometimes when talking about others, but that's okay. I learned to live with it. You make bets with what you can, yeah?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You get to halfway down the corridor when you hear the sound of Indigo coming from a slightly ajar door to your right.
Oh. Oh, I can hear another one of my friends. Shall we have a look?
How many friends have you got?
Oh, not many.
Oh, I'm the same, don't worry.
Yeah, it's tough, you know. It's 'cause I'm very small.
He kneels down next to you. I don't think you're very small.
Oh, thank you very much. Right,
little-
let's have a listen. See what they're doing.
Someone was
I'm gonna
asking
go over
about
to the
romance.
door, and I'm going to put my ear to the door.
All right, you put your ear to the door. A lad walks up behind you and sort of stands deep in thought. Indigo, back to the table. You have a device that allows you to see the smoke that you claim is coming off of our statue.
It is not smoke, it is like black water. And I never said anything about a device.
You said you had to have the right eyes.
Right. Now, will you answer my questions? Or are you just going to ask questions of your own? That was not what you insinuated when we went in here.
You are quite right, my dear. What would you like to know?
Who put the black magic on the statue and why?
He rises, moves over to the door. The statue is a carving, an exact copy, as a matter of fact, of Commodore Genkari. He had an estate up on the hill, where the original statue that this was made from exists. The statue has commissioned by His Majesty the King on a special occasion, the arrival of the first-rate ship. That's the big human ship outside.
I do know about ships, even your human ones, yes.
Well, there you go. So yes, they arrived in time for the statue to be completed. It was Mr. Saltmarsh who directed the construction of the statue, of course, making sure that it was an exact replica of the one in the grounds at the old mansion.
So the original one also is full of black magic.
I wouldn't know. I don't have the right eyes, as you so deftly put it.
Then why did you think you could answer my questions?
Well, you do have me there, I must admit. Are you a screamer?
If I have to, I can be very loud. Sometimes on a ship it's necessary.
Ah, I see, I see.
No, wait.
Yes.
Are you threatening me?
Not at all. It was a polite inquiry, he says. He's
No, it
busy
was
reaching
not
into his
polite.
jacket.
Are you, she gets closer, threatening me?
No, he says, as he pulls out this very long black spine. You can give me a nature check.
Sure. No, 19.
It looks as if it is the spine of a sea urchin, which means that it might still contain the poison in it, but because of the particular dark shade that the spine has, you can see there's a very slight variegation of purple running the length of the spine. You suspect that this is known as a sleeper urchin. The problem with it is that you step on it, it poisons you, you fall asleep, and you then are consumed by the colony of sea urchins that are usually on the sea floor type of thing. I am not threatening you at all, he says. He does take the dart and he's about to stab you with it. What do you do?
I cast Thunderwave.
All right, you cast Thunderwave. bow, chicka bow wow. You blast that thunder wave out at Scarron. He has to make a dexterity saving throw of 13. Flick, I need you to make a dexterity saving throw of 13.
Yeah, I thought so.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I rolled twice, sorry. The first one is the correct one. And what was the first one? It's being hidden. 15. So Scarron easily dodges out of the way of your thunder wave. There's a yelp from across the other side of the door, however. No, the door gets blasted out by this thunder wave. How much damage does it do?
Dum, 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 dum.
It's a D8.
Yeah.
So it does 6 points of damage?
Yeah.
All right. The door bursts open in front of you, Flick, and there's this sort of vibration that happens. You take 3 points of damage as you get hit by the remains of this thunder wave. Allard kind of goes, ow! Indigo, you see the two of them skulking around the open door. Scarron sees both of them, and instantly, almost instantly, I should say, very, very quickly, the dart, he's about to put it away, he drops it on the floor and then stands on it and looks absolutely nervous. I'm so glad that you're here, lad. This woman was trying to attack me, he
I was
says.
not trying. I very much succeeded in attacking you, but only after you threatened me.
You hear that, lad? She confessed to attacking me.
Oh yes, I look at the guard. He is a villain of the foulest sort. He says words without meaning them and smiles at me when he tries to poison me.
I tug on Alad's arm.
He looks down at you.
She's my friend. He looks like a bad man.
Indigo smiles down at Flick and says, "Thank you, little dragon."
Salt, you walk into the into Gellan's estate.
Yep. Bold as brass.
Just
Luna
bold.
has.
Yes,
Oh,
Luna.
sorry, Luna has her arm in Victor's arm, and she's been going. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-da-bum,
Victor is
all the way and sort of like walking along quite jauntily.
Victor has sort of his usual pissed off work face on. It sort of looks like he never left, really. But his arm is squeezing around Luna's arm quite tightly.
Blem, blem, blem.
Oh no!
Blem, blem.
Like he doesn't even notice that.
It means it likes you.
Right, you are. So you start to make your way into Victor's abode. As you get to the front
Gellan's.
door, the Gellan's, front door. As you arrive, I'm going to share this map with you very quickly. As you arrive, the door is opened.
Crab is here.
And yeah, they use the same token. It's not Crib, sadly. It is a very old-looking thug. You recognize him. His name is Rouge.
Rouge, okay.
Yeah. It used to be Two Rouge Lips, and then he had a rather unfortunate fishing accident, and then it just became an insult, so now he's just called Rouge.
What's his actual name?
Rouge.
Ah, fair enough.
Yeah. You've only ever known him as Rouge.
Yeah, that's fair.
We were
Rouge?
expecting to see you, Captain Salt. Gellan's in his study. It hasn't changed from when you were last here, but I can show you the way if you prefer.
No, I'll be fine. Do you want me to drop my weapons here, or...?
I don't think it makes much difference, to be perfectly honest with you.
No, I don't think so either.
No.
Luna
Alright.
touches her sword protectively.
As for you, lady, I suppose...
Hello.
Yeah, you can wait in the lounge.
No,
She's
I
with me.
go with Victor.
No, I don't
She's
think
with
that's
me.
going to happen.
But I'm with Victor.
Yeah, that's great. I'm very, very happy for a married couple. It's always nice to see happy people, but you're
Not
not.
married. Come
Oh
on.
yeah, he wishes.
I don't judge.
Now, you can wait in the lounge, or you can wait here, or you can wait outside, but you're not going in with Victor to see Gellan.
Are you sure? Because
Yes.
I'm really nice, and I'm sure that Gellan would like me, and I'm very friendly, and I'm very polite, and I'll be very quiet because I'm really good at being quiet.
If Mr. Primewater wants to see you, he'll summon you. He didn't summon you, he summoned Victor.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Luna.
The lounge is quite nice. It's just redecorated. It's all green and everything.
Look, if I need you, you'll hear me, all right?
Look, you scream like you're singing karaoke, and I will come.
Don't sing karaoke, Luna.
That's what I mean.
All right. I'm just gonna walk past, sort of walking like a man to the gallows.
Like a man to the gallows. Okie dokes. You are heading in there. Lahuna, are you staying outside? Are you staying in the hallway itself, which is a double-storied affair? Or are you heading into the green lounge with this ancient old rouge?
I'll go into the green lounge, but I'll leave the door open.
Sure.
And I am looking around to see what I can learn, because Victor's told me some things, but he's not the best at long-form storytelling,
Right.
shall we say? He's not the most divulgatory man. So I'm looking to glean some conclusions of my own. I'm looking around. If there are any books or papers, I will read them. Not that I think Gellan will be that careless, but
Gotcha.
hey.
Yeah, you're led out of this really large hall. The entire space has got this very strange green tinge to it. The floor is made out of marble with a very green vein running through it. The walls have got a green stone. It's obviously all been imported because the stone around Saltmarsh is slates and grey toned and the like. The lounge, you're led down this very short little corridor. The lounge itself is very green, as a matter of fact, as you are shown in it. You can take a seat there, but can I bring you some refreshments or something? Something to drink?
Yeah, why is it so green?
Mr. Primewater quite fancies green.
Really? How come?
It was his wife's favourite colour.
Tell me about his wife.
Oh, it's a tragic story. Tragic story. He ushers you over to the sofa, and he sits down at the sofa and sort of looks at you.
I sit on the other end of the sofa.
Right. Well, you see, it all started when Victor Salt was young. Victor, you walk into the chamber with Gellan Primewater.
Yes.
Who I haven't loaded up yet because I didn't get that far. Gellan is sitting on the corner of his desk. You know his ploy. You know his standard operations. He does this, and you have seen him do this, and you have been present whilst he has done this to so many people. You know his routine. As you walk in, he's on the edge of the desk. As you walk in, Victor, my dear sweet Victor, how long has it been? How are you, my dear boy?
In about 4 years, Mr. Primewater.
Oh, has it only been 4 years? It feels like so much longer since the light of Victor Salt has shined upon the Saltmarsh.
All due respect, Mr. Primewater, can we cut this? Can we just not do this?
Victor,
Just two of us?
you insult me. I am genuinely concerned for you. Now you have returned from the deep. All of the rumors will now be put to rest. About your death. About a bounty.
I sent you a letter.
Oh, it's your letter, he says. He goes over to his desk and opens a drawer and very carefully opens up this letter which you had sent him. He sort of squints down and is, Mr. Primewater,
I almost died on the beach. I saw my end and it was dark. I have done nothing. It gets confusing here, so the language is quite unique. You basically just left, yes?
Yes.
My employee.
Yes.
On your own.
Yes.
And sent me a letter saying bye.
If I tried doing it in person, are you saying you wouldn't have cut my heels off to make me stay?
No, I probably would have. No one leaves my employ, Mr. Salt.
Look, I saw no other way. I couldn't keep doing this.
Oh. Your
tired.
conscience finally got the better of you, did it?
I'm tired.
I understand, Victor. I understand. If you had simply said this to me before you left, we could have made an arrangement, Victor.
You mean have me do other things?
The garden always needs tending.
Garden?
Yes. The flowers grow so much better when they're fed bone meal.
Yes, well, that's why I left. I don't have a lot of years left, Mr. Primewater, and I wanted to do something else.
How bold
For
of you
what?
to use the plural.
Jagsy, you are walking across the streets of Saltmarsh, heading towards the Carpenters Guild.
Yep.
Is that correct? Yep. You find that
yes.
familiar building right on the edge of town, towards the parts that no one kind of goes to anymore, the old abandoned crab shucking station at the far end of town.
I'll kind of enjoy the smells of the crab guts and the salt. While it might be kind of repugnant for the most part to obviously the shakan, this kind of smell is just incredible. It's awesome. He'll place a hand firmly on the large door to the Carpenters Guild, and sort of take a deep breath before pushing his way into the building itself.
As you do, the salt smell is immediately replaced with this array of wooden aromas, from the strong scent of teak to the almost subtle aroma of well-oiled oak. It just washes over you, as does the air being slightly filled with sawdust. There's banging and hammering coming from different areas, and moving around is a very small figure whom you recognize almost instantly. The moment you walk in, the figure says, "We're closed at the moment."
Really? Because I came all the way here thinking you had a sale on half-price old bags.
The figure turns. It's a halfling with greying hair. She has sawdust everywhere, is wearing this heavy apron, looks at you. "Fish sticks!" she says as she just runs and launches herself towards you, arms wide.
Jagsy will sort of crouch down and go, "G'day, Nan!" and receive the hug and a big embrace.
"What the hell are you doing here, laddie? I mean, you weren't supposed to... How are you back?"
Well, things get a bit strange, don't they? Look, I'm gonna be honest. You catch that bit of driftwood that rocked in behind the big landfolk vessel earlier on today? Yeah, that's kind of what's left of the second chance. Yeah, that was. Yeah, we're missing a mast.
That's not your ship, Jagsy.
Yeah, we got pretty bunged up on the way in. Funny story though, it was actually that bigger ship.
You get a slap across your nose.
No. Oh,
I have looked at the shape of that keel, and there is definitely barnacles aboard that. If you are looking after that ship, Jaggy Jaw, I will be very, very, very unhappy.
Look, man, I was trying, okay? Look,
Trying? A bookworm does more damage than what you've done.
Look, that big, heavy-ass landfolk ship landed straight on us, and we were lucky to even make it in there. You know, tried me best.
It's a beautiful ship underneath all of the damage. How on earth did you snap the mast where you did? It looks as if the mast's been dragged through the upper deck.
Yeah, not sure about that. Yeah, no
Fish
idea how that
sticks?
happened. I broke it. Okay, look, okay. To be fair, she was gonna go anyway because I tied it to the ballista. But there was a perfectly legitimate reason, and that was because we were hit by a dwarf ship first before this big hunking chunk of wood came crashing into us. I mean,
Why
look,
were the
any other
dwarves firing at you?
they weren't firing at me. They just fell out of the sky at me, is what they did.
She critically looks you up and down.
Look,
You've not been eating right. I can tell you've lost weight. It's probably affecting your brain.
That's kind of true, but you know, ain't no cooking like your cooking, man. But
No, of course not. No one else can get it to be almost moving and still cooked at the same time with just the right amount of vegetables, I might add, to make sure that your teeth are nice and strong. Let me see your teeth. You could do with a bit more.
yeah, well, you know, Cookie's been looking after us pretty well, but
That
you know,
little
I think
French creature.
yeah, probably the only thing scarier in the world than his cooking to be you, Nan. Listen, I've got a favor to ask. The old girl's not looking too good, and I'm worried about the extent of her damage. I
It's
know.
all right. We're looking after her. She was brought in this morning. Well, you know, you were on her. Primewater's footing the bill for her refurbishment.
Primewater. You mean that drumped up peacock who's currently chasing?
You're such a funny turn of phrasing. You strange Sharkan who doesn't know how to talk properly about our most beneficial employer. Absolutely. Why don't I get you a nice carrot? She says as she ushers you out of the main floor where all of the carpenters and worksmiths are busy preparing wood and the like.
I'll follow.
Indigo,
Looking forward to it.
Flick, what are the two of you doing?
I realized that I left my trident on board our ship, the ship. So I'm drawing my little dagger and walking towards the man who tried to poison me.
Wait. I'm sure there's been a misunderstanding.
Do
You think so?
pause?
Isn't that right, Mr. Badman?
He looks from you, Indigo, to you, Flick, and then back to you, Indigo. Perhaps there has been a misunderstanding. I was merely trying to show you something of the ocean that I have no idea what it does. I assumed you would have knowledge of such things, since you are from below. I immediately apologize if I have done anything to cause any kind of distress in your personage, my dear.
You know, I put the dagger back. Among my people, it is very, very rude to show something like that.
A custom I shall add to my lexicon on how to deal with the aquatic elves. You have no doubt introduced this to my personage, and I am eternally grateful for the education. Might I invite you and your companion to dine with us this evening at the Saltmarsh estate? I'm sure Anders would be delighted to hear all you have to say about this black vapor that you were talking about coming off of our statues. We can investigate naturally if the craftsmen who were responsible for building such this device should be brought to justice, you will find that Anders is particularly malleable when it comes to dishing out justice.
Is it free?
But of course it's free.
Then we accept. Thank you very much.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Then I think we accept, yes. If the dragon says so, I will be there.
Okay. Thank you very much. What time?
He bows. Saltmarsh runs on the horn, as they call it. Let's say 8th horn.
Sounds good. All right then. See you then. Come on, you.
And I grab Indigo's hand.
Lad, why don't you show our guests out of the hall?
Oh no, don't worry. A lad knows the way.
And I grab Alad's hand as well. I put them both along.
You both. Are you going along with this, Indigo?
Yes. She looks very puzzled and still trying to think about what happened, and if Flick knows something she doesn't. So.
As you get to the front door of the hall, the doors are pulled open by two very well-dressed military men, and the Admiral is standing directly in front of you. He sort of looks at the three of you, looks down at you. Oh,
Admiral.
it is you again.
Yes.
How delightful to see you.
Yes, you too. You're looking magnificent.
Thank you, I guess. He says, and then he sort of pulls on his tunic subconsciously.
I like the buttons.
Yes. Right. Quite. You, he says, looking at you, Indigo. You must be the surgeon that saved my son's life. I am awfully indebted to you for your services. You should realize this. And if it's not
Your
too...
son?
Yes, the lieutenant who was riding the Pegasus. He claims that you restored him to life.
That is... maybe?
Oh yes, she's very good. Yes, very good indeed. She's very good with all that kind of medicine stuff. Say thank you, and yes, we've got places to be.
Right, thank you.
Step on Indigo's foot.
Indigo's completely puzzled. Like,
Right.
what is going on?
Yes, of course. The Admiral steps aside, and his troops that are arrayed behind him all form this very neat line down which you two can walk.
Well done, men. Carry on. Come along, you two.
You're a very naturally commanding presence, Flick.
Oh yes, comes naturally.
You must
Everybody
be...
watches as the three of you walk down this corridor of military men. From the distance, Flick, you don't need to even look. You can feel the scowl coming from two figures now. The captain that serves the Admiral, as well as the gentleman that you liberated Indigo from. And then you hear Anders. How very nice! Yes, very nice. If we can all go into the hall, there is refreshments that will be served in honour of my great-great-grandfather's statue unveiling. Now, if you can just go in this way, he says, as they sort of all start fumbling inside. Where are the three of you heading?
A lad.
Yeah.
Would you like a different job?
Don't know what else is out there, to be honest with you, Flick.
Well, I mean, if you like the ocean, I've got a ship you might like to be a part of.
Oh, I'm not a fan of the ocean, actually. I can't swim.
Oh well. Well, if you change your mind, there's a job off for you.
You can't swim?
No, when we used to jump off of Sharkfin Bridge, I got a bit of a nickname, actually. So, yeah.
What was it?
Sinker.
Oh, that makes sense.
But you live close to all this water and you never felt the need to go swim?
No,
Well,
why would I want to get wet?
Indigo, can you fly?
Not yet.
No, you see, it's the same thing. You spend all this time around the air, But you don't fly.
But I'm planning to.
Oh. Well, I don't plan to. Unless the occasion demands.
This conversation happens as you're making your way away from the city hall. Back to you, Luna.
Yeah. I'm listening rapt to this story.
So once the change had happened, then of course things had to change a little bit between Gellan and Salt. So, you know, well, now it was Salt anyway. So it was quite a convoluted process, actually. Yeah, so...
So he was a scorned lover?
Not really scorned, I suppose. More like just things changed. So then he met his wife. Very important lady from the capital. Very nice.
Oh yeah, what was her name?
Nice. Lylan was her name. She was half elvish, you see, hence the green. She liked the green. Yeah, so she remodeled the entire estate to be more in liking with what she liked, yeah.
And then what happened to her?
Oh, she died.
Of?
Death.
There's a lot of that going around.
It happens in saltwater, yeah.
You know, my ship surgeon, she keeps saying that people are dying of death. It's just, I don't know what it is. I think it's a land thing. It's very strange.
What do you normally die of underwater?
Well, all sorts of things. You know, krakens, sometimes.
You die of krakens?
Well, it can happen. I mean, do you know anything about those?
No, not really. And I would hate to die of krakens. I can imagine you like tentacles growing out your ears. It's like, oh, died of krakens, that one.
Yeah, it's a real butt barnacle. You don't want to die of krakens.
I don't want to die of those either. Thank you very much.
What, butt barnacles?
Yeah, no, thank you. It's rather horrid, actually.
Not a fun way to go. So, what does Gellan want with Victor?
Give me a persuasion check. You have advantage.
Always. Always.
He was very, very unhappy when Victor left, do you understand? No one leaves Mr. Primewater's employ. It's a well-known fact that. Once a slaver, always a slaver.
Right, but now he's back. So, what's the problem?
It's about prestige. You don't run a giant underground illegal operation and just allow your employees to do whatever they like, do you?
Well, you know, it's good for people to be happy, and you've got to make your employees happy, right?
Not sure you completely understand the idea of being a slaver. Happiness is not ever part of the plan. Ever, really. Now, what Mr. Primewater has got planned for Mr. Salt? It's going to be spectacular. That's all I can say.
Really? Spectacular? I don't believe you.
Oh, well, just wait until tonight then.
What, but you know already, right?
Well, yes.
So why don't you tell me, and I'll tell you if it's spectacular.
All right, I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
400 pounds of gnomish fire crystals. That is impressive, isn't it?
It might be.
What do you mean it might
Depends
be?
what
Do
you're
you know
gonna do
how
with it.
expensive that stuff is?
Well, it's not about what you've got. It's about what you do with it.
Well, where he's going to stick it, there's certainly going to be a lot to do. Wait, was that a joke?
Maybe.
Inside the office of Gellan Primewater, he is looking at you, Salt. I will be very frank with you, Salt. I don't want you dead. You were useful to me in the past. If you don't want to die, you can be useful to me again.
I worked for you for over 30 years, Mr. Primewater.
Ah.
I thought maybe I'd earned some retirement. I don't know.
Perhaps you have, Salt. Perhaps you have. You see, if you want to walk away from Saltmarsh, you and your little crew on that little ship that you call the Second Chance, I have one last little act for you, Mr. Salt. A trifle for someone of your talents, really.
I'm listening.
I want you to have dinner tonight. That's all.
Dinner?
Yeah. At first, we didn't know how we were going to do it. And then you arrived, Mrs. Salt. Quite fortuitous, as a matter of fact. You're going to have dinner aboard that first-rate ship with the Admiral. And then you're going to blow it up, Mr. Salt.
With everyone on it, I assume.
If you have a chance to get off the ship, bully for you.
And if I say no?
You remember the ballista that we used to keep above the main hall?
Of course.
It's still there. And I believe your companion in the green room is currently being entertained by Rouge.
Look, Mr. Primewater, all respect I hold for you, I owe you a lot. But if you touch any of my crew, I swear to you.
No need to swear, Mr. Salt. We all know what your word is worth. I simply need you to blow up the first-rate ship. Now, it's a simple answer. Yes or no. And we'll be back next week when the adventures in Ghosts of Saltmarsh continues. Thank you to all of you for watching. Thank you to all my players for being awesome and wonderful. And to the OBS Goblin who's been going through the different slides and things. I think we managed to get through this one without a technical hitch. Touch wood, he said. Thank you very much to our sponsors. That's World Anvil, worldanvil.com. Go and have a look there. You can find all of the heroes, all the character sheets there. Have a look at that. Dungeon Fog for supplying us with all of these awesomely beautiful maps. And, of course, Fantasy Grounds for being our virtual tabletop of choice and for rolling all these cool rolls. We had some 20s, we had some 1s. Sure, I had all the 1s, it was fine. I'm not bitter. And, yes, thank you to my wonderful players for taking us on this amazing journey of terror. I certainly was on the edge of my seat going, okay, now what? Now where are they going? Are they going to do that now? Okay, great. It was absolutely wonderful. I have had a blast. I hope you have as well. If you remember, join that treasure hunt, greatgamemaster.com. Join the treasure hunt to find Mama Sarduk's treasures. You can win some amazing giveaways on that if you are clever enough to unfiddle the clues that have been given out down below. So you can look for that as well. Until next time, from all of us, I wish you good night.
Bye.
Bye!